Welcome, everybody, to the It Couple. I am one of your hosts, Dan. I'm here with my other hosts, my betrothed, Sarah Jo.
SJ.
Saint Germain.
Mm-hmm.
Nice or Alaco, depending on whether or not you're cheating
depending
on me
on who's
night.
paying me.
Yeah. But we have a really funny guest. I know her from the Comedy Cellar, but she's been on The Tonight Show. She's got a book out, Fuck Your Diet.
Yes.
But she's wearing her own merch right now. Looks pretty good. That's smart. I should do that for these video podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of just like, my political messages, No, I don't do that.
Wrestlers.
But yes, my anti-vax, no. I'm really excited to have you on. I didn't know you were in LA.
Yeah. I moved here during the pandemic and I'm never going back.
Well,
good. Are you from the West Coast originally?
No, I'm from New York. This is my first time ever living outside of New York City. I'm a true and through New Yorker.
Oh my God, Chloe. You're just like loving it there.
Where are you from in New York?
I'm from Williamsburg.
Nice.
From Williamsburg, like Hasidic Jewish neighborhood, Williamsburg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now it's hipster Times Square, so it's
the traffic jams, like seeing like over there with like, it's kind of like the meat packing of Brooklyn. Like it is night and day.
For sure.
Wow.
Completely different.
Wow.
Well, you made us watch Killers Clowns from Outer Space.
Which was so funny. Thank you for
also
doing
fuck
that.
you for that. No,
I loved it. Thank you.
It actually was fun. Yeah, we do whatever.
You said a horror movie, and I said, without hesitation, Killer Clowns.
This is your number one? This is your number one.
I want everybody in the world to watch this movie. I don't know why. It's so cheesy. Great. It's so fun. And also, it's three brothers who directed it. They went on and did like amazing like stop animation, and they did like stuff with Elf and like all these other things. So for various reasons, I like this movie because one, as someone who always watched these like B movies when they came on like Channel 9 on a Saturday afternoon. We didn't have cable when I was growing up. So I would always see B movies. We didn't have premium cable. And we don't do B movies like that anymore. Like I don't know what it is. Like the B movie field
it really was a big thing in the 80s.
It's just that there's no, there's no like 4 channels that we can like just see them on. What?
I'm sorry, Chloe, we have an issue as a married couple where if I start talking, he just bulldozes and we're working on that.
I just did it once. All right, I'm working on it.
No, but I was saying that B movies were, I feel like that was like all the 80s. That genre was just like, to me, 80s. Like, I don't know if you ever saw Night of the Comet. Yeah. That's another great movie that I love. Like, just all these weird little clowns and dolls and puppets. And
well, it's also weird.
I'm into it.
If you were, so you were at the end of the sentence there.
My shit wasn't worth interrupting you for. Go on, sorry.
Well, it was like those like B movies too. Like when you're like a 11-year-old boy, it's like I could get murder and boobs. This is great.
Tons of boobs.
Yeah,
Post to now.
But that was also the 80s. Every 80s movie, I think, growing up, just showed boobs for no reason sometimes, and especially in horror movies.
Yeah, there was always a scene at some point, even when they were being chased by monsters or aliens or ghosts or goblins, where 2 teenage boys are hiding in a bush and they peek up and they see a woman clearly taking her shirt off through the window. And it was just like, oh yeah, this is just a part of the night.
Yeah, and then she screams and shuts the curtain. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever... No, when we were in grammar school, there was one girl that got naked in front of a window that we all were like, oh my God!
Like on purpose? Because that's like such an obvious thing. Like, ooh, let me take off my top in front of this window.
But we were in 4th grade.
Ew, was she in 4th grade?
No, she was like a woman.
Oh, okay. I thought you were starting to say high school and like a girl.
No, I'm not about to revisit trauma. I'm just trying to have a fun story.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you this time.
But it was this movie's awesome, and also I don't know if you probably know this, Chloe, but the clowns were then used in Ernst Scared Stupid as the trolls. I always love that when because they have trauma movies where it's like they'll use monsters from other movies and they'll just like put a paint a coat on it and be like, it's this, these werewolves are vampires now or whatever.
Yeah, that was the 80s was all about reduce, reuse, recycle.
They did that a lot in television. Like if you would look at certain shows, it would be the same staircase from like Family Ties, and they did that on Just the 10 of Us.
Yeah,
these are the things I remember as a child. So this movie, one of the things I loved about it is that the clowns themselves are so enjoyable and so likable. I would not be scared of them. They're really, and they move so slow because they have, it's like what we said, Carl Havoc. Like it was literally, I don't know if you saw that sketch on,
I Think You Should Leave.
I Think You Should Leave. But he's like fully full of prosthetics. They're just walking, and then their chubby little hands go to pick something up. It's like, what harm could they do? But they do. They do.
I love it. I love the fact that they were just there to kill people. There was no like world domination takeover. They were not trying to like terraform the town. They were like, we are hungry. We came here to eat. And I also think it's hilarious that like nobody was freaked out about them at all. Cause you see like a mass of clowns walking around your town and people are like mesmerized by them.
Yeah, the ice cream truck has a clown on it. Yes. And so it's like, this is a clown-friendly town.
A clown-friendly town. It's a safe space for clowns.
Yeah, and the Big Top Burger. There was always, in the 80s, there was always like a carnival-themed burger joint that everybody went to before like, you know, product placement.
Yeah, clowns were really big in the 80s. I remember having like something like a puffy paint pillow that had a clown holding balloons and stuff like that. And they weren't scary.
So that sounds terrifying.
Until Poltergeist.
No, the MVP of this movie, to Chloe's point, is John Vernon, who plays Sergeant Curtis Mooney, who was Dean Wormer in Animal House. That's his most famous. He was also in Pootie Tang. And no matter what happens, to Chloe's point, he literally sees a clown with a gun and he's like, I know you're pranking me. Yeah. You know, like, let's see the zipper behind this. Like, he has multiple people call the station, and he's just getting drunk off Jack Daniels and being like, this is all bullshit.
He thinks it's because they want to get rid of him.
Yeah,
from the force, that they want him to retire early.
The only thing he cares about is public drinking, like punks publicly drinking. He doesn't care about anything else.
Hated everybody. Like, listen, like if I know we have issues with police, but if it was a police officer who hated everybody like him, I kind of would be like, all right, I get it. It makes sense. He called the girl a slut. He told the boys
no reason.
No reason. The guys had wine. They were like, we just got some wine. Like, these fucking pansies drinking wine. And I'm like, yo, he's mad at everybody. People were calling. He was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm getting drunk. Hang up the phone. Like,
wait, I forgot about the bad guys with wine. Like, they really did have wine.
Who clearly, like, when you look at them, had mascara on and their hair was done. They were clearly gay in the 80s, who had to dress like they were punk rockers because that was the only way men could wear makeup. They went and got their vino. They was going back home to snuggle up and watch Golden Girls, and now they in prison with a clown.
They're so polite. And he's like, Boone's Farm wine, more like Goon's Farm when you guys are here. But it does feel like he's yelling at his agent the whole time. Like, that's what it feels like. I feel like in between takes, he's like, Jesus, this is all you can get me on? Really? I was in the biggest comedy in the world 10 years ago.
Yes, absolutely.
I found my notes.
Because I've never seen a cop also speak that eloquently. Like, because he definitely has theatrical training.
Excuse me.
You know? But great movie. We're gonna go. Our dog is like such a fucking nightmare. He's like 3 pounds, but he's jumping. Here, we'll show you him right now. Can we show Mushu? Mushu's 3 pounds. He's like got anger problems.
Oh wow!
And he wears a diaper
that he wears constantly because he's not trained. I came into the picture 2 years later.
Kind of.
How old is he?
Look, he was in a shelter and probably abused.
Yeah.
And I don't like to yell at these dogs. Dan's the disciplinarian. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not screaming at him like
no.
Santini
You're just nice about it. So the funny thing is, so this movie starts with the ice cream truck, right? Like the two brothers. Who, by the way, how old is everyone in this cast?
They're all 35.
I don't understand it because I was like, are these kids like freshly out of high school? Are they in college? Because she's dating a cop and he didn't know that she was dating a cop. The cop just got like, and also, I'm sorry to jump ahead, but like,
no, please.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this handsome cop who's a good cop, right? Who is going against the older bad cop, also had a previous relationship with the main girl in the movie, Debbie. And he's upset that Debbie was at Lookout Point making out with this other guy who's friends with the two idiots who drive the ice cream truck so they can get fat girls. They got an ice cream truck so they can date fat girls.
Because they keep them in the back and promise them free
all
ice
the
cream
ice cream they want.
They show their boobs.
Listen, and that's mistake number one, because I'm not fucking on a full stomach. I got all this sugar in me now. It's time to take a nap.
Very true.
We have that as a married couple. We fuck before we go out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
I don't know how we used to hook up after dinner. Like when we were dating, like I don't know how we got through that.
You power through.
Knowing the things that come out of both of our bodies now, I don't understand how one of us literally didn't just like have diarrhea in the bed. So
yeah, I mean, and as you get older, I mean, I've just started having cramps during sex, which is another horrible evolution of my sexual prowess.
It's kind of funny. Do you want to tell the story about? No.
Do
Okay.
you want to?
Well, I just talked about
Right.
shitting in a parking lot on
Well, if
our
you
last
want
one.
to,
Chloe.
it was-
No. It's okay.
All
So
right, no, we can talk about that. That's fine. Basically, what happened was we were at a strip club in Montreal.
so fun, by the way.
It was a
strip clubs
blast
in Montreal.
There's this girl giving my wife a lap dance. It was super hot. And then she moved on to me, and my back went out, and she was moaning, and I started like moaning in pain, and she thought that's because I was into it. So she's like, oh, and I'm like, no, get off me. And I literally like throw her off me like she's a pizza pie. I run to the VIP section just to like put my hand on the wall and like breathe it out. So the security just sees me breathing hunched over in front of the VIP lounge. So they think I'm rubbing one out. So they come up to me and they turn me around. They're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, it's my back. And they're like, oh, sorry.
They look at them. They're like, oh, okay.
Because they see like the red in my face.
It was like the lover sketch.
I clearly do not have an erection.
Will Ferrell, that's what you were doing. You were like, get off me.
Listen, good thing when you were in Canada, because if you did that in New York, you'd have been tossed out on the street with your fucked up back.
Canada's fun.
That is
Montreal
true.
is a great city. It is. They are kind. It is clean. They are nice. I'm a big fan of Montreal. I do have so going back to the brothers with the girls, I like their plan of like, let's get chubby girls and feed them ice cream and they'll hook up with us. But now Debbie is in a car. They're drinking champagne.
Yes. Yes.
Why?
Because she was like, okay, so they're laying in the back of the car. They're laying in an inflatable, like, you know, tub, like that you do like river.
Yes, it's a raft. It's literally a raft.
And they see a comet, and she goes, "Let's go and inspect the comet and see where it went." He was like, "You don't want to finish your champagne?" It's like, first of all, you got me in Lookout Point on a raft, my dude. Like, the champagne ain't changing this environment.
What's the worst move where like you were excited about a date and then you got there and you're like, this is your move, man. This is the move.
Oh my gosh.
That's a great question.
I had an ex-girlfriend who showed up. This is the funniest. This guy was like, hey, come to me at this bar. And she got there and he was DJing there and nobody else was there. So it's just
no.
So she like backed up like that meme of Homer Simpson in the bush.
In the bushes.
Poor thing. He was just trying to get people in the building. Oh my gosh. I think I went over to this guy's house knowing that we were going to hook up, and he answered the door shirtless with a beanie on and like some sweatpants. And I was like, it's cold. Why don't you have a shirt on? Like, what's that? You're in your house with a hat on and no shirt on and pants.
I've done that exact move. I think I've done that exact move.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I just was finished working out. And I was like, you're too old to be doing this move.
Yeah. He was going to be sweaty and stinky and have you come over for
Dude,
a
you
date.
got to have Zac Efron or Michael B. Jordan abs if you're going to pull that shit.
They weren't that great. I mean, they were, he was fit, but like not fit enough to be walking around shirtless in the house with a hat on. I mean, like a fisherman's like beanie on, like one of those like work. All he was missing was his pea coat. Like he looked like he was down at the docks.
All right.
So yeah, they see the spaceship pass overhead.
And the old man and the dog. The old man.
There's always, you know what's so funny? Like when I saw that old man with the dog, it's like that was that time's version of like a boomer, right? Like these are like that's like a Dust Bowl generation person who like is just waiting with they dog and they rifle to see some like aliens or some shit. And that's how they always depict that person. It's always like a guy sitting on a rocking chair looking out yonder. And I think it's hilarious because when we see boomers depicted in like, you know, Gen Z X's or whatever, they're going to be like, oh yeah, this is the crazy old person who had like all these conspiracy theories. And they're like, that's how we see them now.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like my mom, who doesn't have conspiracy theories, but someone who looks good for 70. But yeah.
It's a farmer Gene Green played by Royal Dano. And my favorite thing about this guy is you're right. He is really Great Depression era because his whole point on getting rich is selling hot dogs. So we're going to be rich. I'm going to sell hot dogs. And he's immediately killed.
And the carnival comes. And he also lives in like a shack. And you could tell it was like a set. It looked like what a high school would use for like Oklahoma. Like, what's his name? The mean guy, Judd. And like, it was just so, the dog though, I mean, it gets netted.
You didn't like that part.
I never like when an animal is hurt.
Do you have any animals, Chloe?
Like,
Do you have any animals?
No, I had a dog. She passed away, Winnie Holiday.
Sorry.
She was a pug and she lived for 12 years. So she had a full life. She moved out here with me. Moved out here with me to California. You know, she had a nice life.
She had a good run.
But I'm taking a break from dogs though, because it's a lot of work.
Interestingly enough, this dog was named Winnie.
It was. It was
yeah.
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Maybe did you name it after her?
No.
Pooh Bear.
Maybe subconsciously, but no. I named her after Winnie the Pooh.
The old man is also really dumb. And I think that's another thing that they depict, like the Dust Bowl generation. You know, he's like this hillbilly and he's like, oh, we're going to be rich. You know, like he does all that. He's like, oh, Pooh Bear and a circus and like just a dumb idiot.
Well, nobody else in town. It's just a suburban town. And then he's the only one who talks like he's in Appalachia.
Yes, because he lives in the woods.
That's what happens.
I think that's what happened because you go upstate New York and people talk like that. You know, like.
Yeah, it's a little Deliverance County.
When you're in the woods, do you just start talking slower?
Well, you did when we moved to the Berkshires for COVID. We were up there for 15 months, and sometimes Dan would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get me a slice and a Coke," and I'm like,
way.
"What? Who?"
Yeah, you're demure. Your demure tone, but yeah. So when I'm just pointing out this guy.
So he, the guy goes to try to find the dog, and then he gets zapped, and that's when we first see the clowns.
Yes,
because they've got that little gun thing that kind of evaporates.
So intimidating.
The cotton candy gun.
And I love a little cotton candy, but if I saw big like cocoons of it. Disgusting. No, with human bodies in it. No, thank you.
And the way they eat, they don't eat the people. They stick a straw in them like a Capri Sun. And
a crazy straw. The crazy straw of the 80s. That roller coaster straw that everybody loved. That was fucking hell to clean, and you had to toss it out after like 3 uses.
Right, because it would also like sometimes the liquid would just get stuck, but it wouldn't be broken, and you'd just be like sucking it so hard.
Well, you thought it would be fun when you were a kid, and you're like, "This is just more difficult." You know, it's gonna make the drink more fun. But we then cut to
the wine guys.
But first it's Debbie and Mike, our young lovers, even though they both look like they're 35 years old.
Absolutely.
You know. Do not look at all young. Like they look like they do not look like they should be going to a make-out point. They look like they should be making out in their domiciles. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Debbie's also from Weird Science. She's one of the girls in Weird Science.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I just recognized her. She was like a nice 80s actress that got a lot of work and then stopped working when 1990 struck.
Yeah, they put her in the glue factory.
Hi. Yeah.
So you want to be a character
16.
actor. That's why.
He's trying to convince her to go see the comet, and then they go to the tent.
Yes.
Right? Like they go. And he does this really offensive Native American impersonation. I don't know if you remember. He's like squatting and it's horrible.
Well, it doesn't even sound like it. The thing is, it doesn't. I don't even think it's offensive because it doesn't sound like a Native American. It's like I'm not even sure what it is. Like I thought he was doing like a Gremlin impression or something.
Yeah, and
no, I mean I think that at that stage, like in the 80s, like no one knew what it was, but you knew what you were trying to imply.
Like, right?
Yeah.
So
but I was more offended by him telling her, "Are you going to be more scared with me going to the tent or me leaving you?" Like he didn't even say, "You want me to take you back home?" He was like, "You want to stay by yourself? Or you want to go with me because those are your only options?" She goes, I'll go with you. Like, what?
Yeah, she's like, I'm more scared to be out here. And he's such an idiot. And she's smart to be like, that's weird. Why is a circus tent in the middle of the forest? Whereas he was like, oh, cool, let's go. He's like the old man, the old idiot.
Yeah.
The Dust Bowl dickhead.
Yeah. That's why it's like whenever you look at these old movies, it's always the woman being like, I don't think we should do this. And the people are like, stop being a pussy.
Yeah.
And you're
you
like,
dumb
all
bitch.
right.
He calls her a slut. Yeah, it's the best. So I also want to say one thing, going back to Dean Wormer, when the two guys, the lovers, come in with their bottle of wine, he does say to the guy, you're the problem, you little shit, like that. Like, he's just out of nowhere. Because they're like, what's the problem? He's like, you're the problem. So the aggressiveness in every scene, he doubles down until like the point where you think his head's just going to fucking
His
explode.
motivation in this was he wasn't cast in Platoon or the movie that he wanted to be cast in.
Yeah. Whatever was shooting down the road that he had to drive past every day for his call time.
Okay, the giant popcorn machine. Can we talk about that?
I just don't know what it is.
They go inside, but isn't the popcorn?
Is it eggs?
No, it's eggs. It's how they make the clowns.
But they also shoot it at people. There's like no.
I think like when Debbie was taking a shower, which is always the problem. There's a crisis, and she has to take a shower and change her clothes and put on shoes.
It's like a 55-minute shower too.
It's for the first act of the movie. She's in the shower.
She's in the shower, but the popcorn starts crawling around, right? And so I think it's one of those kind of like, what's the Sigourney Weaver alien thing? I think that's like the little seedlings, like you said, like you plant them on something and then it can grow, because they come out and attack her later. I mean, they grew in
so great.
Yeah, they grew in a medicine cabinet somehow. I don't know.
And the toilet.
Yeah.
The little one that comes out of the toilet is the best. Because I remember when she takes the shirt off, she still has popcorn attached to it.
Yeah.
Which also, but did this shower happen after she says to the guy, oh, I know a cop. I have a friend who works at the police station. We'll go to him.
Oh, yeah,
right?
they dropped her home. Yeah, so her boyfriend, her and her boyfriend, they escaped the tent miraculously. That's how you know they're the leads. And then she goes, I know a cop. They go to police precinct. She doesn't tell her date that she used to fuck the cop.
Nope.
So he finds out that she was fucking this handsome ass cop, and he had her on a raft in the back of a pickup truck. And they get into their male ego battle of like, we both was fucking this girl, and they're jealous of each other, even though one is clearly an adult cop and the other one is a man boy. And they say, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to take you home because you're the woman.
You're a woman.
So go home and take a shower. And then they go out and they handle like most of the shit until the clowns come to her house. And it's so crazy. The clowns don't say anything except for when they control a person later. And they was like, so who's that girl you were with? They want her too.
I guess there's not a lot of options in this town.
Well, it's just her. She was the only. I guess someone else was
they
making
had a
out,
hot
but
girl
they
that was
died.
turned into cotton candy immediately.
Oh, there was the hot girl that opened. Well, the boys are looking at. Speaking of movies in the '80s, getting changed in front of a window. Weren't the two guys in the ice cream truck looking at her? And then she comes down and opens the door, and it's the clown.
Yeah, I think so.
And they zap her. Something. You know what I loved also? I loved how they made a balloon animal out of the dog.
That was my favorite.
And it barks. I was like, that's fun. I was into that. That was cute. Or when she's doing the one of the clowns is doing the puppets, and the old people, talk about boomers, they're all just so like mystified and like in a trance, and then it becomes like a dinosaur that eats them all.
Yeah, it ate their shadows. I think what I liked about it is like I think they did a lot of great things, like with the trope of like clowns, like it's cheap and like tangible to do all these things. It's like, we're going to shoot popcorn at people. We're going to do cotton candy. It's like not a lot of crazy effects, but it's also low key terrifying because you're like death by popcorn, death by like being suffocated to death by cotton candy. Like, that could be a nightmare.
The things that we enjoy at a carnival.
That will happen to me, but it will be called diabetes. They have the whole movie. It's just like this real simple plot of like them trying to get the girl back from the clowns and killing all the clowns before they murder everybody in town. Even though they kind of do murder everybody in town, but it's just to set up all these sketches like an invisible clown car that comes by, a bunch of clowns coming out of a car. You have to shoot him in the nose, and then there's later on the pies. Like the whole thing is just one sketch. It's basically all that sketch in the middle of a horror movie.
It also takes place within 24 hours, right? It's just one night, which I love a movie that just takes place in a night, and just the mayhem that ensues. And I mean, Dean Wormer, God bless him. What is his name? Philip Mooney. He's getting all the calls from people, and that he's drinking his Jack. And there is a line where he says, "It's gonna take more than this to kick Philip Mooney out of the squad, so fuck you." Like that, to no one. I rewound it and wrote it down because I'm like, why? Who is he talking to? He's not even on the phone yelling at anyone. I love him. I love him. And then he's obsessed.
He's obsessed with keeping his job and also not doing his job. It's like, just do your job and then you'll keep your job.
Exactly. Maybe stop being an asshole and just get to work, and you can stay a little longer.
There is always that character in a horror movie though where it's like if somebody comes in and goes like, "Oh, there's a werewolf." He goes, "Oh, werewolf, now I've heard it all." And then
I know.
Like a werewolf, he'll see a werewolf eat the guy and he'll still be like, That's just an overgrown dog in a man costume or something like that.
I also love when it comes to 80s, there's always a biker scene. There's always a random ragtag group of bikers who are so badass. And I just thought it was so funny. The clown comes up, it's a tiny clown on a little bike, and the man's like, "Can I ride your bike?" And he doesn't say no, but he says motions no. And he's like, "I'm gonna take your bike anyway." And the black guy was like, "You should have just let him ride your bike." And then he's
the
like,
only black guy in town, by the way.
The only black
biker gang.
The only black guy in town is in a white biker gang.
Yeah, a white biker gang. And then he goes, "What are you going to do? Knock my block off?" And then he kicks his head off. And I'm like, I wanted to see him actually jump up and kick his head off because it would have been hilarious. But his whole head cleared off his shoulders. And I think, that's what happens. You got to meet fire with fire. They thought that they were going to be the dangerous biker gang, and they met a fucking killer clown who decapitated them.
With a kick. He also, because the guy also, remember, crushes his bike. You almost feel bad for, because it's like a little kid clown in a way. It's like, you feel bad, but then when the head goes flying and just lands, and then the bikers are like, "We have to get the fuck out of here." It's the best.
I have a question for Chloé. What's the thing that you were most scared of when you were a kid that wasn't scary? For me, it was, a lot of people, it's clowns. For me, it was the Quaker Oats guy. But I feel like there's always...
There's a lot to unpack right there. That man?
Yeah.
A colonial?
He looks like he's about to burn you or something, like a puritanical
probably.
witch or something.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. Mm-hmm. I, as a kid, I hated when you went to, the carnival or, the boardwalk and those games where you shoot the water gun into the balloon pops. I hated that. I hated the popping of balloons as a child. Hate it.
And the race. That was the only game, because I'm not good at throwing or anything. It was the one thing I never won it, but I always came close. And I think the trick is just find the right gun. Because there were people that wouldn't even shoot the water and they'd win. It's just whatever seat. He'd hit a switch and he'd be like, "This one's going to the top." Yeah. But the popping is scary. I had my great grandmother, her third husband, his last name was Wolf. And for some reason, I would have these dreams as not a recurring dream, but I'd be at their house and he would turn into a wolf and chase me. And I'm like, was I molested? No, I'm kidding.
You're processing it.
I'm like, wait a minute.
That's the beginning of
but what if
again.
But what if he was a wolf, low key? What if he was?
And I was the only one that could see it. But then I kind of grew out of it and I was like, fuck it. Who cares? And then when he died of a stroke, the wolf dreams went away. So maybe he was haunting me. That was my scariest thing, though.
All I know is your therapist is not doing a good job.
Yeah, I did switch therapists. I did switch therapists recently. I'm not going to lie.
I think we should bring this up immediately because I think something else happened there. Yeah, it's like Ian Finance talks about he hung out with this hot dog guy and he just blacked out when he was a kid. And I was like, what's up? But I will say, the new thing now is that people are I don't know if you've seen on Instagram, people are transforming themselves to animals, actually getting You know, like plastic surgery where it's like they have like a lizard face or
Really?
I mean, there's that.
yeah, like tigers.
Well, there's like the old school guy. I mean, I say old school because he's been doing it forever. The lizard guy who had like the implants that like make his eyebrows protrude, and he has his tongue split in two, and he could do like that with his tongue. But now people are just doing it just to do it because they can.
Well, the thing is, like, that used to be the option, like, when you had a genetic disease or a physical handicap, you're like, all right, I'm lobster boy now. 'Cause that's the only job. I can't work in fucking HR as lobster boy.
Yeah.
So you're talking about carnies?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know a
carnies.
guy that would have like a job at like.
Well, I'm just saying, what do you do?
State Farm.
If you
and
grow
they'd
up
be
with
like,
lobster
sorry,
hands
lobster.
and they don't have, like, the medical ability to change them, you got to work in the circus. But now people are...
Well, now there's, a whole act for people who are disabled that protects those people from getting sent to the circus, right? You can't discriminate.
But I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
By the way, everything's considered a disability now, just so everybody knows. Cancer, high cholesterol.
Is cancer high cholesterol?
I swear it'll say, have
I'm
you
disabled?
had...
Really?
You've been disabled for a long time.
Disabled for a while.
That's why we got married. I got
Can I get some benefits from that?
No, apparently, like, I was filling something out, and they were asking, like, have you, it's like, have you been convicted of a crime? Have you done this or that? And then it said, have you or are you disabled? And some of the choices were like asthma. It's like, I'm like, now we've gone the other direction. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've swung the pendulum in the other way. Like, there's no.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Not
for
great.
my clowns notes.
So the clowns that we love. Dan's always like, you sound like you're reading.
Well, it opens. The big climax is they go to the tent moves to an actual fair, and then there's a cop outside who gets killed by too many pies.
Yeah.
And Dean Wormer.
Well, he was killed early.
In the jail.
We're kind of jumping around a little bit. He was. Which is my bad. He was killed and then turned into a ventriloquist dummy.
Yes, to communicate the clown's desire to kill everybody and take Debbie with them into outer space.
And I feel like he has, because he's dressed like a puppet, but the bare minimum. Like, there was definitely an argument with makeup, because, like, all he does is have his cheeks rosy and, like, one line. Like, they probably wanted a whole thing, and he's like, you can
go
over my
yourself.
dead body.
Yeah. Do you know what movie I was in 15 years ago?
Yeah. So the clown turns him into a ventriloquist puppet. But the part that was the creepiest part is when the clown pulls his hand out and you hear like the blood. Because he's saying like his whole hand was just in his body. And he just like flinged it out. I was like, oh my God, that is so gross.
Unless that's your thing, guys, and we're not here to sex shame.
No, never.
But they get to this at the end. They get to this. It's the brothers, the fat girl ice cream brothers, our love triangle with the hot cop, the 35-year-old guy who acts like a prop comic, and the hot chick. And they come in and they're trying to search for the clowns, and they end up like squaring off against Clownzilla, which I don't know if you knew this, played by one of the brothers who created this movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
His name, it was Charles Chiodo or Chiodo. I don't know how to Chiodo. I think it's Italian. I don't know.
You forgot to mention Debbie gets captured.
Thank you, Spaventa, our producer.
That's right. Yes, Spaventa
She does get captured.
Yeah, they end up. The whole thing is like she's just going, "Oh no!" and she gets thrown inside a giant ball instead of cotton candy. They fight Clownzilla, and then they free
Debbie.
her.
Yeah, she's the only one who's not in cotton candy.
Yeah,
because they want to take her home and have
slut
sex
her
with
out.
her. Yeah. They want to fuck her. Hey, she's a woman in a movie in the 80s. What good is she anywhere else but in the bedroom?
That's
or
it.
The kitchen.
Why do always the clown
or the back of a
all
car
these aliens? They always want to fuck like who we think are hot. Like,
aliens?
Don't you think that like they would have their own thing?
I mean, that would be different. That would be interesting to see.
Like fucking a chair?
Well, no, like three, like all
cat?
these. They think you be thinking they're gonna be fucking all these tens, and they're just like in a 3s and 4s.
Well, maybe they're
like that. Like
she's the prettiest girl in the town now, Debbie.
Yeah,
she has a lot of suitors. People are attracted to her. She did date the hot, nice cop. So
Yeah.
wait, do you remember when the two guys are in the car? Debbie's now been thrown off to go shower because she's disgusting, and let's get her out. And they're having a conversation, and the cop starts talking about Debbie like longingly. He's like, I just need to get her back. I need to get her back. And the other guy's like, I'm here in the car. He's like, I'm sorry, that wasn't for you. But like he's talking to himself, but the other guy is there. It's a lot. It's a lot. Who does she end up with?
I think they're probably a throuple, because when at the end, when the cop came out and he was miraculously unscathed from the exploding spaceship, Mike was like, oh, the cop. Hey, Steve, what's up? How are you doing? Like, he was excited that he survived. I think he got turned on in their like night of like trying to save the world. So yeah, I think they're all together.
Yeah, I think they thought about like, well, if something happens to Debbie, it's just us. So we better.
Do you guys know any throuples? I don't think I've met.
You met one on stage.
I met one on the stage, but I know like personally, I don't know any throuples.
No, I don't personally know any, but I'm sure they haven't told me if they are.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, you don't want to break that out in an audition room, I guess.
Yeah, you got to make sure. Yeah, you got to make sure like you're talking to like, like-minded company when you reveal something like that.
Like a throuple party where everybody's in a throuple, and you're like, "That's our third," or like.
I can never do it. I dated. Well, not dated, but I went out with this guy who told me flat out. He was like, "I want to be in like a polyamorous relationship. I want it to be like 2 men and 3 women, and we live in a house." And I was like, that sounds like hell. That sounds like work and hell. A lot of dishes, a lot of who's cleaning the bathroom. It's too much work.
It's too much work. I couldn't. Sometimes I say to Dan, like, I will gladly like have a hooker like take care, because I just like clean the house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you had 2 women, we would be not having sex with you. We would be cleaning. We would be decorating. And that's not just like they're women. That's what they do.
Everybody thinks it's the sex, but it's mostly just arguing about like, oh, you got Chinese? We want a Thai.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. And 2 people jumping on the other person, being like, "Why are you siding with them?" Like, I can't. It's too much. It's too much communication. It's too much talking. Like, I don't like talking like that. Like, I don't want to over explain my feelings. I don't want to have it a state of the union. Where's this relationship going? I don't want to do any of that.
And they seem to really enjoy the relationship aspect from the things that I've seen. They're very big into like communicating as opposed to just existing. Like you do as a couple. It's like, no, we have to bring this person in and we need to define this. And what is your role? What is her role? Spiventa, were you going to say something? Are you into throuple?
Yeah, no, but speaking of throuples, so there is this one part where the ice cream truck brothers, after they survive, they're like covered in like lipstick as if they kisses. Did they fuck the clowns?
The clown aliens.
Yes, the girl one.
Yeah, they fucked him.
In the ball pit. Yeah. For sure. They've been trying to
sitting there.
Yeah, they were trying to get some snatch all night, and they finally got some in the ball pit.
Yeah.
Some clown alien pussy.
I think the clowns, didn't the clowns keep those 2 alive because they were in the clown car, and that was sort of like their
they thought that the clown ice cream truck was like an actual clown,
like
that
a
was
mothership or something. Yeah, so they were like, we have to follow that, and so they were never hurt, and they were they were, believe it or not, they did better with the clowns than they did with the humans. Like, they got laid by clowns.
Yeah, I think they probably sensed the desperation. I feel clowns are like, well, I'm just here to make you happy. I'm just here to help you out.
I just want to know what you need. What do you need in this ball pit? Get it going.
I don't think I've ever dated I knew a girl who was like one of those cancer clowns for a hospital.
I don't know what a cancer clown
They like
is.
bring clowns to kids with cancer to like cheer them up.
That's a clown.
Yeah. Well, I call them cancer clowns because they're in hospitals.
I don't think they're called cancer clowns. I think that's just a performer.
What else should I call them? Just hospital clowns?
I think they would just call them like a volunteer.
Yeah,
volunteer entertainment.
Clown. Yeah. Not a count. No one's putting cancer clown on their resume, Dan.
Well, hospital clown.
Dan would, actually.
But I feel like you get more money if you're a cancer clown. Like if you're a normal clown, like just with normal kids, not like dying kids.
No, they don't pay. That's a volunteer. You don't go into a hospital and say, well, I'm going to do
charge
extra tricks because this kid is, has
bumming me out. I'm trying to juggle and this kid's talking about how
Did you see Patch Adams?
I saw Patch Adams. That was just the nose, though.
I know. It was so stupid. I'm like, is he going to be a fucking clown or what? Let's get to it. So
So 5-star movie. Love this movie.
Chloe, thank you so much. This movie is... I was so excited.
The
Dan knew it,
was,
too. He's like, this is your kind of movie.
It was either between this or The Ruins, but The Ruins is like...
Which I've never seen.
It's really
good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
I like horror movies where it's not a lot of blood and gore. Like I can't do like chainsaws and people being tied up and like I can't do like Hostel and all that stuff. I can't do that because now you realize like there's legit people probably out here like that who are doing that shit like on Epstein's Island or something.
Texas, well, that was just straight up, molesting. But like, yeah, there's definitely. I mean, all those.
He did abuse them. Too.
Texas. Well, he didn't like, but he didn't like make a coat out of their skin like Ed Gein.
Yeah, we don't know what Bill Gates was doing over there.
That's true.
Drinking blood and all that type of stuff.
My thing is like, after this movie, because we always think like, what's the next scene after this movie, and those funerals have got to be so.
Listen.
Bizarre.
They saved nobody but themselves. Everybody in that town is dead. They got blown up in the sky. Like that town their population has gone down by at least 2/3 because they were getting
explain
everybody.
it.
Would you guys do that though? Like if we're being under attack, would you?
Well, they had to escape,
help
right?
people, or would you go back? Would you? You wouldn't.
I would.
We get our dogs. No, because I know when COVID came, we got the fuck out of here. We're like, it's every man for himself. We took the dogs. We went up to the Berkshires. We went back to get my mom and brought her up. And it just, I think we were very like, stay over there. We'll stay here. We got to escape. We do have escape plans sometimes, but they don't really.
I think plans work. I think you need to have an escape plan and preparations, right? Like I have a to-go bag, right? I have like a food bag that lasts like 7 days, and I have like another like survival bag in case like first aid kit, all that stuff. Because who knows? So I think the option one is save yourself, right? Assess the situation. See if you can like team up with other people and like have strength in numbers and then have a plan of attack if there needs to be a plan of attack, or at least like move in numbers to like safety. But see, now that I'm in LA, I'm thinking like, okay, just go north, like try to get north to like Canada. And New York, it's hard because when you're in New York City and something happens, you got those bridges and you got to get across the bridge. And if you can't get across the bridge, you fucked.
You're fucked. Or you have to like find someone with a raft in the back of their car that they were making out in and be like, I will give you him if I can have that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't leave you behind.
Well, it also, I don't know about that by the way you've been describing this, but I also think it depends on the disaster scenario, right? Like if like we see that like lava is coming in on all sides and there's no way to get, it's just like, all right, we'll just stay here
with the dogs.
With the dogs, blow our heads off.
That's like I like the end of Don't Look Up, where they was like, well, we just gonna have dinner. We're gonna have dinner until this shit blows up.
Yeah,
I'm with that.
Underrated, that movie. I thought it was better than everyone thought. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie too. I think nobody wants to hear about climate change.
Right. Or see celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio talking about it. And I think it was star fucked a little too much. And I think if it had like, I don't want to say regular, but it didn't have all the big stars in it, maybe more people would have taken it seriously, and it just seemed sort of.
I thought that, I don't know, man.
Gotta be.
I guess I don't have my finger on the pulse of the zeitgeist.
I agree. I think it's a good movie, but I think it's like it was really hard to explain what the movie was without like disaster, end of the world vibes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think when you can't show people disaster, end of the world, because it's all these celebrities, no one's going to die. You know what I'm saying? Like none of those people signed on to die.
When you saw these clowns in this movie, did it remind you of any headliners you had to feature for when you started? just a disgusting fat slob breathing on you. Making giggly noises.
I've been fortunate in the sense that I haven't had to work with a lot of those like hacky road comics because I did NACA for like 7 years, which was just me
good money
by myself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me by myself doing colleges in the middle of nowhere. So I've been to the towns that look like
cancer colleges, just all colleges of cancer. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been to those towns that look like the town that was in that movie, but I haven't had to deal with comics who look like those clowns in that movie.
Dude, those NACA gigs, man. I mean, I did like a couple college gigs. Sometimes they don't even give you an intro. You just have to go on like in the middle of a cafeteria without a mic.
The
And,
worst. The worst of nooners. Yeah, the 12 o'clock shows, 11 o'clock shows, community college. And they're like, hey, can you come do 2 shows? We're going to do the community college at 12. And you'll do like the 4-year college at night because those people live on campus. And you're just like.
You would have to do comedy at 12 o'clock in the afternoon?
In the middle of a student social, like a student union atrium, like no walls. People are getting their chicken fingers. You hear somebody be like, 14, your order's ready. And you're just sitting there being like, yeah. They have like a little riser stage with like a curtain background, and you're just standing in the middle of the atrium. I mean, and it's also like when you do like the nooners, it's community college, junior college. So these are like adults who like went to war and came back, and now they're getting their degree, or a mom who's going back to school, and so they're sitting there eating their lunch, looking at you like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? We don't want this.
Yeah, there's college gigs are the only time where I will literally, at my end of the set was me looking in the front row at the guy who booked me, and me just going, my closer, me going to the guy, okay, we good? And then he's like, yeah. Goes, all right, have a good one, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, because they want you gotta do that at least 50 minutes. You gotta do your 50 minutes, and then you maybe
50.
And maybe they'll hand you your check at the end. But I always was like, I need my check. I need to leave here with money in my hand so I don't feel like I wasted my time. Mm-hmm. And then they go, yeah, here's your check. Thank you.
Did you know Vic Henley before he died? He was a comic in New York.
I did. Yeah, I knew Vic from Gotham. We used to always be at Gotham together.
Yeah, I used to know him. We were at the Strip a lot together. But he had the greatest like story, like getting your check first story, where he got booked. Speaking of, he got booked at a fair, so there were clowns there, and he showed up and he talked to the guy running it. He's like, "Hey, where's the stage? Where's the mic?" And he goes, "Oh, well, I'm going to give you a cordless mic, and you're just going to actually walk through the fair doing your act." And he goes, "Oh, yeah. Hey, can I see that check first?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he gave me, just drove away.
Oh, yeah, that you need that. I don't understand how people don't understand how stand-up works. Like, I need to stand up on something. I need to stand up. I need a little elevation so people know that I'm a focal point. I need a microphone. I need a spotlight. That will also help. Like, they don't understand. Like, you need an environment to get people to focus on something, especially now when people have their phone and it's all these distractions, and like, don't have a TV on in a room. People are gonna watch the TV. Like, yeah, I don't know.
No, it's true. Dan was in Montreal, and one of the things I notice about when you're headlining, and you guys have to experience this, it's the end of the night and the staff wants to get paid. So there's a lot of like the check business or put your card down. And I was like, how do they do that in an easier way that the headliner isn't being interrupted by...
they have to do
you
that.
don't. You have to. And so it becomes like...
Unless you're a theater act, and then you get past all that bullshit.
Maybe the feature is actually the best spot to be in because they're drunk, they've had food, but they're not worrying about... they're still listening.
The worst is when you have a mediocre set and you see the check come to a family and they like look at the check and then they look at you and you could see them like realizing it wasn't worth it.
Wasn't worth it.
It's just such a fucking bummer. But where can we find you on the road, Chloe?
Yes. I'm gonna be hitting the road. I'll be in Chicago in August. I'll be in DC in October. I'll be in New York in November. I'll be in Pittsburgh, I think, in September. So so I'm gonna have some dates up on my site. You can go to ChloéHilliard.com. I'm trying to bring the website back because I pay for it. So go to my website and look at my dates.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, and buy her book. Fuck Your Diet. I want to buy it.
Did you serve in the military? Because I saw a video up there with you were like talking to all these military guys.
You just got her off.
No, I wasn't in the military.
Oh, because it was on your website and it was like you interviewing people who served the country.
Oh yeah, so during the pandemic I launched a late night talk show called Chloe Across America, and I just did like a topical political entertainment talk show from my dining room table. And that episode was about like people who had served in the military and their experience and, veterans' rights and all that stuff. But they were like actors now and like actors in comics now. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so crazy that now we have to like It used to just be like, all right, I do stand up or I act, and now you have to fucking produce an entire goddamn show in your living room just to be like, I'm still around. Hi guys.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel comfortable going on the road because I'm from New York, and I was living in New York, and like my parents were old, my grandmother was still alive, and she was old, like, so I didn't want to compromise them. I'd rather be there to take care of them, to like go on the road, and I've been in like the places that were still up and running during the pandemic were the places I was doing colleges in, and I know those towns. I know those people. I don't need to go during a pandemic to be out there.
No,
for sure. So check out your website.
Check out her book.
She's gonna be on the road, man. Were you in Pittsburgh? You doing the Improv over there?
No, I don't know. I don't think it's.
I don't know.
It's
yeah.
Not. It's not the fancy.
I wasn't the fancy one. Now I'm down to like check out. Bennigan's has a back room in Duluth. Check that out. But yeah, thank you, Chloe, so much. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I'll be at the Bottle Rocket Social Club in Pittsburgh on August 26th.
All right, Bottle Rocket. We'll get them in there.
That.
All right,
Pittsburgh.
All right,
thank you so much,
Chloe.
So good seeing you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.